everyone, Karen Roby here for ZDNet with Daphne Leprince-Ringuet. And we're talking today about a new list detailing 100 predictions for the next 10 years. And Daphne, obviously we don't have time in this video to go through 100 things to list them off. So we're just going to highlight a couple of them, but it would seem logical, obviously, that a lot of these are influenced, a lot of these predictions influenced by the last 6 months because of this pandemic and how it's changed our lives.
Yeah, so it's a yearly exercise that the analysis firm CCS Insights goes through where they make predictions about the next few years. So this year they decided to make predictions that are a bit shorter term because of all of the events that have happened over the last 6 months that have essentially turned around most of their predictions, probably. Obviously, the pandemic has influenced a lot of it. And at the core of many of the predictions is actually the way the pandemic has influenced the way we work, quite unsurprisingly. So one of the first predictions that they make in this list is that by 2022, more than half of office-based workers will still be working from home. A significant portion of large firms will be cutting their spending in office locations. And from there springs quite a lot of other trends that the analysts have identified. For example, they identified that there will be a lot more investment in technologies that are meant to improve the work from home experience, what they call the work from home last mile. Things like remote collaboration tools, for example, connected whiteboards are expected to jump, and also investments in extended reality devices, so AR and VR devices that might make it easier to collaborate and communicate from a distance. All these are sort of an extension of things that we've seen happening already as a result of the pandemic. There's also a strong focus on connectivity this year. So the analysts predict that connectivity providers, CSPs, will be providing work from home packages so that employers can actually pay for connectivity in their employees' homes. So packages that would separate personal and professional use of internet so that there's an easier alignment between the employer's interests and the employees' needs. So something that, again, a lot of us will probably benefit from if we've known issues with our home Wi-Fi, quite a common problem in the last few months. Also in connectivity, the analysts expect that governments will be a lot more protective of their national communication infrastructure, a lot keener to protect it against foreign attacks, after the pandemic has highlighted how important the digital world is and digital connectivity is to sustaining the economy and productivity. So, for example, they expect governments to require CSPs to screen their employees before hiring them to make sure they aren't undercover 5G conspiracy theory activists, for example, things like that. So yeah, a lot of future work-related predictions this year, as I said, unsurprisingly coming from the events from the last 6 months and the pandemic-induced changes that we've seen in our everyday work.
Yeah, and Daphne, when you look at the list, what are some of the things that are on their predictions that aren't actually tied to the impact of the pandemic?
Yeah, of course, there are lots of predictions out of 100 that are not directly linked to the pandemic. I think an important field that the analysts spent a great deal of time studying was in the environmental issues. So they expect things like Apple to release a carbon tracking feature before 2022. They expect employee activism to be the reason that a CEO or CIO will be ousted at one point as well. So that's reflective of trends that we've seen with obviously Google employees, Amazon employees, Apple employees recently sort of taking responsibility for the products they are working on and voicing their concerns against their employers. There's also a few more random ones. For example, they expect that Nokia won't be able to make the most of the opportunity left by Huawei being banned by governments when it comes to 5G networks and will eventually be acquired. They anticipate things like the rise of low-code platforms. So really a great variety, a great mix of predictions in those 100 predictions that impacts all different aspects of tech. And definitely worth taking a look at if you want to have an idea of what the next 10 years have in store tech-wise.
Okay, and Daphne, before we wrap here, obviously this is looking to the future and predictions. What did they mention, or what kind of predictions revolve around the younger generation, the ones that are coming up now that will be carrying a lot of this out into the future?
So there's a really interesting prediction actually about younger generations under 30s. The analysts expect that startups led by under 30s will be hugely disruptive to the remote collaboration tool market. The reason for that is that a lot of teenagers right now, or a lot of university students right now, are actually studying from home and they are using remote collaboration tools like Zoom or Teams, which are actually the same collaboration tools they'll be using in business once they're employees, once they are office based. So that's sort of unprecedented in that field. Until now, usually you would only be using Zoom if you were working at an office and being an employee. So for the first time, these younger generations are using these tools from a very young age, and they're seeing this as digital natives users. They're seeing the issues with it, and the analysts, as a result, really expect that they will be leading a new wave of remote collaboration tools that might be completely different and a lot more productive than the ones we have right now. That's a space that is worth keeping an eye on, and that is expected to be hugely disrupted by the younger generations that are already using them.
Well, I've definitely seen firsthand having kids at home trying to learn and the way they get frustrated over things and changes that they would want to make. You can certainly see how they would take that into, making changes and potentially startups down the line for what they've experienced during this period. Daphne, thanks so much for being with us. Of course, we have much more on the 100 predictions in your full article on the list there on ZDNet. So we hope that all of you will check it out there. Thanks for watching.